thank you for listening. And you're welcome to go over that show. Thank you. All right.
So now I'd like to invite a Norwegian artist who is living here in Kaunas, Goran Ohldieck, for introduction to a Bulgarian artist, Dogu Bankov. It's going to be a documentary film made by Lithuanian documentary filmmaker Rytis Zemkauskas. And I would like to introduce also Goran Ohldieck not only as an artist but also as the curator of Dogu Bankov's exhibitions, where he will tell himself probably. And the title is Memory Collages, Dogu Bankov as Fictional Political Enemy. What is really interesting, what I noticed in the exhibitions of Dogu Bankov is that it is really about memory. There are so many collages, about, like in Müller's poetry, collages of poetry. So in this way we also have collages of memory, because there are so many interesting characters, and characters with humor, sometimes with very interesting, very transcultural stories. But the rest is the word to Mr. Goran.
Thanks. I think I should like to start this story about Bankov and Bulgaria in another country. I spent quite a lot of time in the early 90s in the city of Sarajevo during the absolutely horrible war. The idea was that the Nordic Council had ended up with the idea that I should present Scandinavian culture meaning in this context art in different forms, in the city of Sarajevo. That can be the best thing to say about it is that it was a throughout insult to the Bosnian people. Although I took part in it, but I didn't know what I was supposed to do before coming there. I was pleased to see that hardly any Bosnians ever attended anything. This is, at the time, and this was the people that had lost their culture during the war, as the Serbs and Slobodan Milosevic. And he especially, his word was that a people without culture has no need for independence. Although he never added that the lack of Bosnian culture was because of him. So, first of all, they bombed the world-famous library in Sarajevo, then they bombed the opera house, the concert house, the National Gallery, etc., etc. Everything was lost. So, in Bulgaria, I have been working a lot with them over many, many years. Definitely since before the sort of Warsaw Pact years ended, and even up to these very days. Bulgaria had for quite some years a Minister of Culture, the daughter of Shivkov, the president, Ludmila Shivkova. She became, in many ways, an extremely important and popular Minister of Culture, and popular also as person. She was very enthusiastic about many things, giving huge lumps of money to culture. But she was very selective when it came to culture, and meaning that Bulgarian artists, writers, musicians, whatever, that had worked abroad before communist times, they were not to be asked of anything. They were expelled from the country if they were lucky. Many of them simply disappeared. Their music works were destroyed, never played. Their paintings in the state and national galleries were burnt. Even their houses, the places they were born, were destructed. There are lots of examples on that, but what is interesting in this context about the memory is that this is not something that ended in '89. This is still very much going on. Bulgaria still has the same problem today concerning these artists. When it is Bulgaria has a very strong tradition in for instance, in painting. But even today, these artists that were expelled from Bulgaria, and they are now, of course, allowed back, the few who are still alive, but they are never mentioned as Bulgarians. Their works are being bought by the Bulgarian state, but they are placed not in the, ordinary National Gallery. They are placed in the National Gallery of Foreign Art. Of course, in Eastern Europe, they always put foreign, which is a word which means them, not us. Instead of what one uses in Western Europe and Western world, one uses international, which is including. But all over in Eastern Europe, or former Eastern Europe as they used to call it, as geography should have moved, including in this country, it's called foreign art. So here we see that in the Museum of Foreign Art, these Bulgarians are called neutrally School of Paris, which is simply not true. The artist Dogu Bankov is a similar and another story. I've been working with this for a long time, considering that reality must be invented, and it can definitely be so. Dogu Bankov was an artist born in the 1880s in Bulgaria, most likely in Bulgaria, but it's not. It can be in Macedonia. Here one should think that since 1870 till today, well, Bulgaria has been involved in numerous wars, all of them, apart from the very last one, have been concerning Macedonia. Macedonians are supposed to be Bulgarians. Whatever the Macedonians may tell you, the Bulgarians will tell you that they are Bulgarians. End of story, they should be part of the Republic of Bulgaria. Up till today, this is still an ongoing problem. There's still sort of problems in diplomatic relationships and whatever. Dogu Bankov is a person who, even the name is strange, because Dogu, his first name, was apparently only used by the Muslims in Macedonia. Bankov, however, is a very straightforward Bulgarian name. We also know that Bulgaria has been quite active in forcing upon the population of various nationalities Bulgarian names, including the Turks, of course, that were to abandon their religion and to take Bulgarian names. This was as late as in the late 80s. But it is, in a way, it's the same story as in Sarajevo, as with the School of Paris Bulgarian painters. It's the same story. In the 1970s and 80s, Bulgaria was destroying as many as possible of Islam buildings and Islamic art and culture. The National Gallery for Foreign Art in Sofia was totally emptied with the Muslim art collection. This should not exist. In the end, Todoshenko was forced to say that, oh, but if the Turkish people would like to leave, so please do. And 344,000 left for Turkey before Turkey closed the border. Dogu Bankov, I've been trying to collect as much as possible documentary about him, which has not been easy. Many years ago, I found on the flea market in Sofia, I found a horrible painting, an absolutely horrible painting. A soldier on a horse, painted in watercolor and oil. And as you may know, this is not a good combination. It was painted on cardboard, which is also not a good combination. And the artist had obviously been trying to make a portrait. In the end, totally giving up, making a hole in the cardboard, replacing it with a photograph. I found it lovely. Behind the glass was a family of spiders having great fun, and the wooden frame had been painted black sometime in the 30s. The paint is still not dry. So I took it to my framer and said, can you do something? It needs to be done. And he tore off the back, and out came Dogu Bankov. There was an old photograph from 1904 or 5 showing all these students at the art academy. The art academy started in the 1880s. And all the students, all male of course, and the professor in the middle, and all the names written underneath. It was also included some letters to this one, Dogu Bankov, and it was a lot of small newspaper clippings from German language newspapers in late 1920s and early 30s. Newspapers from southern Germany, from Austria, Switzerland, even Liechtenstein, and they were all, without exception, these, what is called, Polizeinachrichten, news from the police, and they would all be about, on so-and-so day, so-and-so jewellery had been stolen from so-and-so luxury hotel. News can be given to the police. So I thought, isn't it about time that Dogu Bankov could have his memorial? And so I gave it a try, using whatever knowledge and whatever I could find. It was not easy to find because I went to the Art Academy in Sofia and trying to find some more information about it, and when seeing this photo they were like that, saying that in 1943 or early 44 the Art Academy in Sofia was bombed and totally ruined, and therefore absolutely all papers, all documentary was lost. So now, in later years, when one reads that so-and-so artist attended in his early days the Art Academy in Sofia, it can be what it is for whoever to tell. There is not a single proof anymore. That is partly why I meant by inventing realism. And so Dogu Bankov started his new life as having a memorial exhibition. I'm not going to details of how much is mine and how much is Bankov, but it doesn't really matter. Because when I was doing 2 exhibitions in Bulgaria, one in Sofia and one in the city of Ohldieck, I experienced that this was very much a one-way affair. The exhibitions were never returned. The museum here in Kaunas was trying to ask to have them on loan. That doesn't work anymore because they are national treasures and cannot be on loan unless form agreement between the 2 ministries of culture. Marvelous. So whatever Mr. Bankov was or could have been or should have been, he is. And to all your unasked question, I'm sure that the documentary that we are going to show will not give you the answers. I see that the documentary takes 24 minutes, and this is what we have left. But I would just to add that on my earlier visits about what I saw of cultural destruction in Bulgaria. In '87, I saw that, for instance, as one example, and these destruction of the Muslim art and architecture. The largest mosque in Bulgaria is a mosque from, I must be clever, 1444 in the city of Ohldieck. And the aforementioned Minister of Culture, Shevkova, unfortunately, she died early, and fortunately for culture, she died early. But she came to the conclusion that this mosque was too big to tear down, but it could be used as rubbish dump, which is what, for many years. What the city of Ohldieck experienced was that they had an invasion of some hundreds of thousands of rats. So the regime had to give it up, this marvelous invented project. But of course, after Shevkova's fall, I mean, there is hardly any Muslims left. What is in Muslims? Muslims are today mainly from not the Turkish population, but from Macedonia. Simply because the vast majority of the Turks left. Shevkov never thought that would happen, but it happened. Almost 350,000 people over about a week's time. Impressive. So, shall we do the film? And you can listen to the film as long as you want, all the 24 minutes if you like, but otherwise the world is open for you. Any sort of comments so far? I'm not sure that I'm going to answer anything, but you can
Yeah,
give
after
it a
the
try.
film it will be informal before leaving, so maybe now once someone wants to say something.
Whatever.
Or maybe just a short thing. Maybe just a short comment. I found it quite interesting and funny at the same time. The detail about the National Gallery of Foreign Art being, called that way instead of international art. So exclusion of, use an exclusive term as opposed to an inclusive one. Is that still the case? Does the gallery still
Yes.
has? Oh, up to today.
Yes.
All right. That was just.
In most Eastern European countries, this is still a fact today. Actually, here in Kaunas, Zielinska's, its proper name is Museum of Foreign Art. It's not said anywhere on the door, but that is the correct name.
All right. That's interesting. That's a lot. Very telling.
Very.